Chrysanthemum petals, or chrysanthemum stitching part 3. So we've done this half of the chrysanthemum. Now we're going to do this half. All the various directions stay the same, with one slight variation. This is still 12 o'clock. This is still 6 o'clock. Your needle is still coming up away from you towards you, or right to left, and you're still doing foreground first. So that one before that one, before that one, before that one, etc., because these are all on top of each other. Now, because we're coming up this side of the petal, we're now looking at this angle, or this curve, and this curve is now clockwise going this way. So, as per our little diagram, you can see that this half of the flower, we start at the bottom of the petals. So I'm going to start down here. So the angle in there-ish, but you can see already that if I use that angle, and I'm coming down here, I'm going to have some teeny tiny little stitches, which are not going to be pretty, and we want a nice shape like we've got here. So in effect, we're going to cheat this tiny little bit down here where it is really, really narrow all the way around. It's the same on all these. So remember, this one's completed in your imagination. It's filled in, so we need a 1 point open space down this edge, but we need to fill this tiny little gap in at the end. So the first thing I do, bring my needle up in the middle, away from me towards me, and I put it down right on the edge. So we've now got a gap and a stitch in that tiny, filling that tiny little gap in the middle bottom there. My second stitch is going to go, and third and fourth stitch, they're going to go over the top of this one. Okay. So I'm going to come up, leaving 1 point open space next to this completed petal, and I'm going to go down there. Ooh. Tangled up. Now you can see that this angle is not the same angle as these yet, but it will be. So my next stitch, I'm going to do the same as we did here, but kind of in reverse. So I'm going to fan them out. So this end here is going to be very close. Got myself all tangled. And then I'm going to fan it out a tiny bit at that end. Okay. And again, so close at this end, fan it out a bit at this end, and I'm still stitching towards myself. But you can see that the angle of the stitch has changed. And I just keep doing that. Probably one more, I think, maybe two more. Let me have a look. One more. And then when I've got to what I think is the right angle, I simply work all the way up the petal. So I'm now going to keep the angle going all the way up. This is warping slightly because it's on a practice frame, not a proper Japanese frame. But I just keep going and keep the angle of that stitch. And what you've got to try and remember is try not to let it creep too much so it's flat, and keep that angle. Errant Suga there, come loose, sort out. There we go. And I just keep going until I finished up to this end. So I'll just show you that starting these petals on this side again on the next one. So I've finished all up there. Now again, so what we've got is we've got a nice shape here, which is what we're looking for. So you come up in the middle of the petal somewhere. Now I'm still coming away from me towards me because this is further away than this is. There we go. And I've got a tiny gap here. So that's my first, that's going to fill in this little gap, this little shape at the bottom. So my second stitch is going to go over the top of that. That's a bit too short. Make that stitch a bit longer. There we go. It's better. And another one, so quite close up here, but fanning out a little bit down here. And it is only a tiny amount. You just kind of have to gauge it by eye, and you will get used to this. So that's still a bit steep, that angle. So I'll do a couple of 3 more. That's probably about it. Now I do have a habit of making my angles on chrysanthemums quite steep, but it doesn't really matter if they're a bit shallower than these for your stitches, because this is the important thing down here, is putting this stitch in first and going over the top and fanning out as you work up the petal until you've got this nice angle, which you then just follow all the way to the end of the petal. Now as you get to this end on the pointed chrysanthemums particular, if you want to, you can fan them out a bit here as well to give yourself a nice shape. And remember, if you've got a point, one point outwards at the end will exaggerate that point, give it a nice sharp edge. So that's it for this side. I hope that makes sense. Just to add on to this one at the centre, or the back rather, when you get to this one, this is, obviously, if we change it round, we've got 12 and 6. It doesn't matter, it's still right and left. So what you can do here, there's a couple of ways of doing this. You can either work from that direct, from the middle outwards, or the point inwards. I would probably work from the point inwards, because what you'll have now is a gap here. So I will probably do a bit like I've done here, a long stitch in there, and then cross it over a bit, and fan it out again until you end up with a nice angle. One thing I would say, just to finish off, is what you're trying to do is get a lovely shape on your petals. So if your angles are a little bit steeper or a little bit shallower, then that's fine, as long as you've got a lovely shape. You can see that that's filled in that gap quite nicely, and then I just carry on going up and then maybe fan it out a bit at this end. So hopefully that's been of help. If you need any other tips or any other explanations, let me know, and we will add some more videos. Now, a quick recap: foreground first, that one's first, followed by all these in order until that one, because it's last. All these in order. These ones you're stitching from the top to the bottom on this side. You can put a line in like you can see here to get the angle, work down. As you get to the thinner part of the petal, fan it out, stretch your stitches a bit so you get this nice shape at this end. At this end, clockwise is going in this direction. So your first stitch goes from the middle of the petal to the end of the petal. Your second stitch goes over it, and the third and the fourth, and you gradually fan it round until you get your angle, and then you just work up the rest of the petal. Same as I've done with this one. It's gone into the middle, fan it out until you get an angle and just go up. And then on the end one, as I said, I've started here because this petal is this way on to me. It's easier for me to work it coming towards myself. So I've started in the middle. it might be the other way up on a design, but they all vary. So that is video 3 for chrysanthemums. Hope that's been helpful. Thank you for watching.